I meant to review quite a while ago. A friend of mine got me the Oddbox on Steam, but I already got this game free on PlayStation Plus, and I'm glad I didn't pay for it.
I never owned the original Xbox, nor did I ever want one. Even though I enjoyed the two Oddworld games on the PlayStation, this game never made me want to get an Xbox. Even when Stranger's Wrath was released, I still didn't really care. The only reason why I would want one now is for collector's purposes or to try games that aren't on the backwards compatibility list on the 360. Although there's only 10 that aren't, and it's the really shitty ones. Many years ago, my cousin Thor, yes, that's his real name, and he's a doctor of pharmacy, got an Xbox and I was over at his house. I zoned out while he was playing this game, and after snapping back to reality, I saw the controller on the floor and this game was not even started. So I picked it up since no one was around and I was bored. That's all that I remember of it. I think I played it one other time at a GameStop or a Kmart where there was an Xbox kiosk, but that was about it. Well, that's what I can remember at least.
I'm playing the HD remake, which is only available on PC, PS3, and PS Vita. And there's actually an interesting reason why it's not on the 360.
During development, Microsoft wanted the game to appeal to the casual crowd and wanted the game to be renamed Abe and Munch's Fun Adventures. You could do all the Robotussin in the world and not be able to make a title that bastardizes the Oddworld series that much. And we all know that EA and in some part Microsoft really messed up Stranger's Wrath, effectively sabotaging the game. Which is why there hasn't been an HD remake on an Xbox system until New and Tasty, which wasn't going to be on the Xbox One, but Lorne Lanning, creator of the series, said that talks with Microsoft have been good. While announced for the Xbox One and slated for a March release this year, things can still go south. But I'm sure New and Tasty will appear on the Xbox One. The graphics for Munch's Oddysee are good. The characters look really good, transitioning to the 3D perspective very well. However, the environments do not look very inspired. In fact, they look very generic. Where's the imagination that the previous two games had? Every area in those games looked different. Even when the theme was the same, the atmosphere wasn't. But here, the outside environments look the same. The industrial insides look the same. There's just no feeling of difference. The music is pretty good, but if you're playing as Munch, you won't hear it. You'll hear every single hop that he makes.
Who thought it was going to be a good idea to hear that slapping, sucking sound every time Munch hops along the surface? It must have been the same person who thought it would have been a really good idea to hear that horse clopping sound that all the characters in Final Fantasy XIII make when they run across any kind of surface.
The game controls not well. It's very, very loose. The slightest movement left or right will send the characters careening in that direction. It makes maneuvering in small tight spaces very difficult, especially when there's landmines and sligs shooting at you while you're carrying a Mudakin from one spot to another if you're playing as Abe. Playing as Munch on land is extremely tedious if you don't have a wheelchair accessible, and in water he's just as loose controlling as Abe. There are times where the game is nearly unplayable due to the erratic feeling of the controls. Jumping with Abe is weird. It's really fast and really high. He jumps like he's Sonic the Hedgehog. That's not how he's supposed to jump. He's not and has never been a character that can jump that high. When it comes to gameplay, and if I could describe it in one word, it'd be tedious. If I could choose two words, I'd add betrayal to it. The previous two games presented you with a problem and you had to solve it. There were obvious dangers that you had to avoid and you had to do everything yourself. The games challenged you and you really had to think, plan, and act fast. You had to sneak around by using stealth, and your only weapon was possessing certain enemies. All of that has been scrapped in favor for collecting things and this strange half-assed RTS mechanic and generic action.
I often say that I'm not a purist and welcome change, but this is the wrong kind of change. They took everything that we loved about the old Oddworld gameplay and made it generic.
When you play as Munch, you can swim in water, use sonar to find puzzles, free them, and lead them to safety, and you can have them attack. Abe can do the same with Mudokons, so you can finally attack in an Oddworld game instead of just running away into the shadows and hiding. And with Abe, you collect the Mudokons to perform tasks to open doors. And that's all you do. Find puzzles and free them. You get Mudokons and have them open doors. You never did any of this in the older games. You had to explore the areas, open things up on your own in a very labyrinth-like stage, and occasionally the Mudokons would need to help you. But here you have to find the Mudokons, and they're easy to find and acquire, and while they'll follow you, they won't jump over small gaps. You need to tell them to wait, get behind them, pick them up, and then throw them. Why do I need to do all this? We're not talking about a PS1 game that's on a CD. This is a game on a DVD on the most powerful system of its time, and that's why Lauren Lanning wanted to put Oddworld games on the Xbox. Why put little obstacles in my way so that I have to toss each and every single individual Mudokon over it?
And that's just the tip of the iceberg, because now we gotta talk about Spoos. What's that, you may ask? Well, if you want to do anything or go anywhere without Mudokon followers, you're gonna need this arbitrary collectible.
Around the levels you'll see these green balls that you can collect. You need them to open doors. They're a very crude type of currency, and you can constantly regrow the same one if you need more. And there may be times where you'll stand there, constantly chanting to regrow the same one because it's easier than to deal with the awkward controls to grab the ones that are on narrow ledges. And it's not like the numbers are reasonable numbers either. Because they littered the areas with a lot of spoof shrubs, they want you to use every single one of them. And while they tell you that the spoofs will lead you in the right direction, the areas are pretty linear, so there's really no reason to have so many just to use them. Not only that, but they butchered Abe's possession ability. You can't just possess willy-nilly like you used to. Since they added the spoof shrubs, they want you to use them, so you need to collect spoofs to possess. As you chant, you build power, making a growing purple orb that you can control and move around. The more spoofs you use, the longer the orb will last and the farther it'll go. Again, why? I can see a slig that I want to possess, and I'm within a good enough range to possess them. Why do I need a purple ball that can't hover over water, and why do I need spoofs?
You want a really good example of how tedious this game can be? Okay, I'll give it to you. First, have Munch operate a crane and kill all the sligs in the area. Then have Abe go into that area, switch back to Munch, have him pick up Abe with the crane and put him on a ledge with a lever. Switch back to Abe, have him pull the lever that opens a door, and have him go back into the area and through the door. And finally, switch back to Munch to catch up with Abe. That is an actual puzzle.
These puzzles are so obvious. Requiring no brain power and constantly switching back and forth gets really annoying. There's no punishment for failure. You could take control of enemies, go on a rampage, have the controlled enemy die, only to grab another shortly after, and continue your rampage. Additionally, you have a health meter which eliminates any sense of danger since you can take multiple hits, and if either Munch or Abe are still alive, they'll respawn in an egg as long as the other is alive. It just doesn't feel like an Oddworld game since there's no sense of danger. There's also vending machines that have power-ups that'll make you faster or zap with electricity. The only thing that is authentic Oddworld is the writing. The humor is exactly what you'd expect from Oddworld Inhabitants, and the cutscenes are hilarious. Every character is written perfectly, if only the gameplay reflected the quality of the writing. This game needs more polish is what it needs, and it needed to stay closer to the roots of how the two previous games were since you seem to play as Abe more than Munch. And because the environments don't really change, I don't feel like I'm on an Oddysee.
Now you may be getting ready to say, or have already said, that I enjoyed Stranger's Wrath and that wasn't like the PlayStation games at all. Well, yes, you are correct. However, Stranger's Wrath did not try to build upon the PlayStation games like this one is.
While Stranger's Wrath took place in Oddworld, it was being its own game. Munch's Oddysee built upon the framework of the PlayStation titles and brought them into 3D, but along the way it got lost and forgot what made those games so much fun to play. Watering down Abe's abilities, the constant switching between characters, the odd controls and stranger physics, overall making it feel like an unpolished game that needs more of a complete overhaul rather than tweaking. While on the other hand, Stranger's Wrath felt polished and the controls felt natural and the stealth and gameplay mechanics worked pretty well. Now to re-establish what I said in the beginning, as I'm pretty sure one of you watching this video got ADD and went somewhere, I'm playing the HD remake on the PlayStation 3, and I don't remember the original Xbox version at all. The original version might control a lot better, but it wouldn't help the arbitrary need for spoofs to do anything, and the more action-orientated gameplay as opposed to the stealth and intricate puzzle-solving elements of its predecessors. To me, this is definitely the weakest and the low point of the series. While it got good scores when it came out, it certainly hasn't aged well.
As much as I really wanted to enjoy this game, I found it just barely tolerable. At least next week we can conclude this month's theme with one of my favorite games of all time.